What's up, government seekers? We are back after a long sojourn. Let me just straighten this out here, guys. It's exciting what we're going on. I've got my Star Trek Next Generation shirt on. It's really fun. I've got a can that you can't really read with the green screen, a little Kirkland sparkling water. It's invisible. It's a ghost can. Delightful. Tour dates at grahamelwood.com, everybody. And we're doing the Anything Can Happen game show live online in front of an audience and online. You can get those tickets April 22nd. So you can buy tickets and watch it online. It'll be a blast. Go to grahamelwood.com. All right. Hello, everybody in the chat. I think we've got Holly Horn and Blaze Silver Wolf, our moderators. Good to see everybody else. Melissa, Wendy, Omar, Alberto, and everybody else in the chat. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe this out on your social media. And thank you to everybody watching on my YouTube and on Lee's YouTube. And please remember to like the other guys and subscribe to the other guys' YouTube. And then everybody watching over on The Rock, Finn, we appreciate you over there as well. All right, let's get this going. Ladies and gentlemen, what? Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the two most censored comedians in America, Lee Camp and Graham Elwood, with Government Secrets, episode 118.
Hey man, how you doing? How's it going?
How was China?
I'm actually in a undisclosed location in China right now. They haven't released me.
Oh, sweet. That's cool.
No, it was great. It was amazing. It was wonderful. Turns out there are billions of people that walk around every day in China, kind of like free to do what they want, for the most part, kind of in the same way that in America, we're free to do what we want for the most part. And it's not, they don't actually, each of them have a government minder sitting on their shoulders, it turns out.
Yeah, that was the thing when I went to China. I was like, it doesn't have this jackboot totalitarian vibe that we're told that it is. Like, yeah, it's a communist country, and okay, but it's not like
with loads of capitalism.
Yeah, with loads of capitalism, like huge malls and people driving luxury cars, and yeah, it's if you get something if you really start bad mouthing the government, you're gonna hear about it, but it's really, I wouldn't mind. I mean, people like have asked me, like, would you live in China? If the Chinese government paid you $1 million to live in China and do a TV show there, I'd say, yeah. I mean, because what has America gotten me? I went to war zones to entertain the military, and I lost my house, and I've got, like what?
And also it's like, okay, on one hand, maybe you have more freedom to say things in America. You don't actually have more freedom to like organize against the government in America. Like they would shut that down right quick here. But on top of that, in many ways, you have less freedom in America, because in China, the average person walking around the streets is not that I saw, and I saw endless people walking by police and police walking around or whatever. And no more police than we have in the US, but they're not afraid those cops are going to murder them. Whereas there's a lot of black people and brown people in the United States that literally don't know if when they get pulled over for a speeding ticket, they may end up dead.
Yep. We don't have that. We don't have like, we're going to get shot. You're not worried about gun deaths. You're not worried about somebody just getting a gun like this person in Nashville did. They bought 7 guns from 5 gun stores legally, and they took 3 of them to a school and killed 6 people. You're not worried about that happening in China. Oh, if we were to speak out, I mean, everyone's like, oh, Graham, would you giving up your freedoms? What freedoms would I be giving up? I've been demonetized for 2 years. You've had your YouTube channel taken down. Both these corrupt political parties let the bank steal my home. Where's this just this diamond-studded bath of freedom that I've been swimming in, that supposedly in this country? Where is it? Like, I mean,
yeah,
the quality of my quality of life here has gone down. The cost of living is through the roof.
And to connect it to what my topic is going to be, let's say that you lost your house because you signed on to, I don't actually know your personal full circumstances, but
Mhm.
I'll speak of others. They signed on to a subprime mortgage, didn't understand what they were signing up for. All right, so they lose their house because of that. Now they have a terrible credit score. Now they fucking can't get a house again, can't get maybe the car they want, can't get maybe the apartment they want because the landlord is like, I'm not renting to you. All right, so you've lost all of that freedom because you got taken for a ride by some fucking bankers. Is that freedom?
Yeah. Does that sound free to you? You get completely scammed. The politicians allowed them to scam you. But you get freedom. Like it's the notion that we're free in this country is a joke. I mean,
Yeah, it's a beautiful myth, which I think we've spent a couple of years now trying to debunk.
we're going to do more today, everybody. We've got two fantastic topics. The Air Force dropping a nuke in South Carolina and how the credit score is a tool by the banking industry to stick it all to us. So you guys ready for some fun? You guys ready?
Yeah. Guys ready to learn how fucked we are yet again? By the way, just to throw some more topical stuff in here, the day I was leaving China, Lula was arriving from Brazil, and Lula and China have just inked a deal to do their trade not in the U.S. petrodollar. So,
buckle up. I mean, it is like we are done. The BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India,
China, and South Africa.
Yeah. Buy petrodollar, buy American hegemony. Like it's over. Like good night, thank you. Like, and it's so funny. Since you've been gone, more banks have collapsed, but they're not talking about it. They've bailed out the banks, but it's not a bailout. It's not a bailout. It is an absolute bailout, but it's not a bailout. So it's
right. No, listen, that's not a bailout. That's called making people happy, specifically rich people, but making it's just happiness.
Yes. And your money's fine. When Joe Biden said your money's fine, boy, was that like a warm blanket of confidence. The total warm blanket of confidence. I and every Bitcoin holder wasn't sitting there going, "We told you so." Like we were just like, and Bitcoin's price, of course, has gone up. It is, and they've just released. The Pentagon is literally like drawing up plans for war with Russia and China, because that's what this is really about. Is we're losing our economic power if all these countries are going off the petrodollar. And Brazil, which is another emerging economy. And now that Lula's in charge, they'll really be able to get up and running. And India is built 1.2, 1.3 billion people.
I think they're at 1.4 and they're supposed to surpass China soon.
Between those countries, that's half of the planet's population. And who are we lined up with? A bunch of countries in Western Europe that are kind of already sick of us and are protesting to get NATO out of their countries. I mean, and again, you've been in China, so
yes, but Luxembourg has upwards of 12 people. So
there's 12, 9 of them are billionaires, and they're on our side. Them and the working class people of Monte Carlo are really, really fighting for us. And there's been all these massive protests in France, which our government, like our media, is barely covering. And and again, the French police are just beating the crap out of protesters. Which, if that was happening in China, we'd be like totalitarian Chinese government beating the snot out of.
And we would say the answer is to immediately change the government. Like the government should just fall immediately. But in France, they're not. You don't hear a lot of that.
No, they're not just like Macron needs to be out. Like no one's saying that, even though he needs to be out. And it doesn't matter what we're saying, because the French people are like, Macron, you're done.
Yeah,
you're gone. So it's interesting times. You've left a safer part of the world to come back to a post-apocalyptic hellscape. But anyway, let's get into episode 118, ladies and gentlemen.
But there's no post-apocalyptic hellscape that I'd rather live in right now.
It's our post-apocalyptic hellscape.
Ours, yes.
And you should also be very happy that Joe Biden just opened up the Gulf of Mexico to oil drilling permits. Something he said he wasn't going to do in his campaign. And the oil companies, the fossil fuel industry has already gotten something like 1.8 million square miles of drilling land. And I said
Well,
this on,
it's gone in the past. It's gone well. The drilling in the Gulf of
oh, yeah.
Mexico has gone really well.
Well, yeah, the Deepwater Horizon thing that happened under Obama and Biden, so that was good. And the thing, because the thing is
that was good because it brought all the oil to the surface, which is easier to get there.
We just grab it and then get all those pesky dolphins out of the way. And
what you do is you just take a dolphin and you just wring it out. You just wring the oil out of the dolphin.
Shake it, and then you can drive your Suburban. But before we get into this, I just want to say this because people are like, well, Trump would have done the same thing, and he would have. And I'm actually glad Biden did this because Biden's oil derricks are going to be so much more presidential and bring so much more honor and dignity back to the White House.
I think they're going to say Black Lives Matter on the side, aren't they?
Oh, for sure. And have a rainbow flag.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like all life, like trans rights, everybody's rights are going to matter, but it's going to be oil. It's going to be, I'm excited for rainbow flag oil derricks.
It's actually going to spray rainbow colored oil into the air.
Yes, absolutely. Well, when oil gets into the water, it actually does reflect rainbow.
There you go.
So it's the diversity of polluting the water. It's the inclusion of
it's the inclusion of killing all the sea life.
And making the doomsday clock that much closer to midnight. So it's really good stuff. Speaking of doomsday, why don't we do something fun and talk about how we almost dropped a nuke not almost dropped a nuke.
I think you're giving away the ending.
I really have given away. Lee, I know you like stories, and I want to tell you about a fun little story called Operation Snow Flurry. Now, you know how much I like a good operation on a GovSeek, don't you?
Anything called Snow Flurry must be a really nice, peaceful operation. Like it's just guys standing around massaging each other gently.
Yes. It was just how the Air Force made snow angels when it snowed outside of their Air Force bases. That's all Operation Snow Flurry was. And this other little minor thing to Operation Snow Flurry was that it consisted of B-47 Stratojet bombers flying from South Carolina to England to perform mock bomb drops.
Mock bomb drops. Because they didn't know what a bomb drop would look like?
Yeah. And again, Lee, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen in a mock bomb drop?
I mean, nothing too bad.
Nothing too bad. I mean, other than dropping a real bomb.
Other than a real bomb drop.
So part of Operation Snow Flurry was data would be received on the ground from the planes, and this would later be used to track the accuracy of the mock drops. Aircraft involved would then fly to Strategic Air Command airfields in North Africa. So we went from South Carolina to England to North Africa. And in 1958, a B-47 en route to Hunter Air Force Base accidentally dropped I'm going to give you multiple choice. Okay. A, water balloons. Okay.
Yes.
B, chocolate bars with the Air Force logo that says aim high on them. C, a Mark 6 nuclear bomb. Or D, a bunch of those foam #1 hands that said Air Force #1 for the Air Force Army football game.
But there was a strong wind, so it blew the foam #1 hands way off target.
Yeah. And it actually went to the Army Navy game, so Air Force wasn't even playing. It was kind of a big mess up.
I'm going water balloons filled with the chocolates you just mentioned.
Oh,
Cooper.
Oh, Lee, you were so close. It actually was the Mark 6 nuclear bomb.
Damn it.
I know. It's such a bummer. You're so close because they so fly water balloon missions. That was that part of Operation Snow Flurry was then they would drop the water balloons over the ice and then it would turn into snow cones and then everyone have a great time.
Which are called flurries, right? Aren't there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. McFlurry.
Yep. That's how the McFlurry was born, they dropped a Mark 6 nuclear weapon onto an ice cream store.
Yeah.
And that's how the McFlurry was born.
And then it
The
knocked
end.
everyone's clothes off, so everyone was giggling as they were serving ice cream. It was wonderful.
It was great. Their skin got heated to Fahrenheit 457. It was really fantastic. No, Lee, here's what actually happened. This was in Mars Bluff. This is called the Mars Bluff B-47 nuclear weapon loss incident.
This doesn't sound like it was a bluff nor a mock bomb. It was neither of those things.
No, Lee, you're right. It was correct. It was this again. This is. I love the flowery, watered down, not that big of a deal language of Wikipedia. Was the inadvertent release of a nuclear weapon from a United States Air Force B-47 bomber over Mars Bluff, South Carolina. Now, if you lived in Mars Bluff, it's okay to, it's inadvertent, you know.
I'll be honest. I've been to Mars Bluff, and it looked like it'd been hit by a nuclear bomb before the bomb went off. So we didn't lose much.
Again, it's, the hippies get all bent out of shape. It's inadvertent. And Lee, what's the worst that can happen if you accidentally drop a nuclear weapon? What's the worst?
That you have all your clothes knocked off and have a fun time at the McFlurry place.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lee Camp, for reading that completely unscripted answer, word for word, that the Department of Justice sent over before the recording. We really appreciate you and celebrating your freedoms. Yeah. So I was worried that the communists in China would have propagandized your brain, but I know
not of what you speak. Graham Elwood.
Are you going to blink SOS like those Vietnam guys?
You see a Chinese guy just peek up over my shoulder and then duck back down.
Just with like a pen and a paper, making sure you're saying the right things.
Dude, that's almost literally what the New York Times accused me of when they did their hit piece on me and they came to my show in New York City. And then the end of the article, which was filled with falsehoods, the end of the article said, I went to see the show in New York City. Out on the sidewalk following the show, I saw several Russians speaking in a Russian accent. Speaking Russian, actually. And he left average readers with the implication that either I'm popular in Russia or that I have Russian minders who were at the show, when in fact the truth was completely unrelated to me, had no connection whatsoever. There was a Russian rapper performing on the show after me, and they were there, which was like, you could read the bill on the sign and know there was a Russian rapper. And so they were in line for the Russian rapper following my show.
Oh my God. That's so hilarious that he's just like, yo, we gonna drink some Borsky or whatever whatever his rap was,
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
It's just so great. And also too, like, it's not like Manhattan is a big city with a bunch of people from all over the world speaking a bunch of different languages. It's not like that.
I know. I bet he didn't see any Hispanic people around either, did he?
Wow. There might have been like Africans there too, and God only knows what they're up to. There's Middle Eastern people. I think there was a cabbie from the Middle East that dropped you off.
I don't want to throw around implications, but there was a shawarma stand next to his show.
Ooh, weird. Sounds a little Al Jazeera-y to me. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But back to them inadvertently dropping a nuclear weapon in South Carolina. Lee, there's some good news here. It's not all bad news. The bomb, it lacked the fissile nuclear core. So it can't be
Dr. Fizzle.
Dr. Fizzle. Dr. Fizzle full shizzle.
That was his rap name. Yeah.
That was his rap name. He does a lot of Russian rap. So actually, he was the opening act and that show after yours. So it lacked a fissile nuclear core. It fell over the area, causing damage to buildings below. Though there was no nuclear detonation,
So was there a regular detonation, or it was no detonation?
Yeah, there was a regular, because the people were injured by the bomb's conventional explosive. So I didn't know this, but there's so you have a regular old bomb.
Listen, we just dropped a regular old bomb.
I mean, you don't want to go. You're not going to have just a nuke bomb. You got to have a regular. I mean, you're not an ant. You know what I mean? It's like a salad fork and a regular fork. You know what I mean? You got to have a regular bomb and then a nuclear bomb together. You know,
it's like when you sometimes have a spork and you tie a fork to the other end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you wouldn't like eat a hot dog without a bun, would you? So you're going to need a regular bomb inside of a nuclear bomb.
Is the hot dog the nuke in that analogy, or the bun?
Oh boy, they really got you in China. You don't even understand hot dogs and buns anymore. Oh my God, you've just been.
Wait, which one's the chopstick? Is the hot dog the chopstick?
Everything's not an egg roll, Lee. Jesus, get back to America.
You've never eaten a hot dog with chopsticks? Dude, that literally, I come back from China and there's like a photo in a magazine of me eating a hot dog with chopsticks. They're like, they got to him.
I knew it. First, it's that Russian rap group, and now this. So yeah, don't worry. There was at least some type of explosion. And I love this is such Wikipedia, though there was no nuclear detonation. So don't get your panties in a bunch. 6 people were injured by the explosion of the bomb's conventional explosives.
Yep.
So here's what happened. So the Boeing B-47E LM Stratojet left Hunter Air Force Base and was operated by the 375th Bombardment Squadron of the 308th Bombardment Wing near Savannah, Georgia, took off at approximately 4:34 p.m. and was scheduled to fly to the United Kingdom and then to North Africa as part of Operation Snow Fury. The aircraft was carrying nuclear weapons on board in the event of war with the Soviet Union breaking out. So this was supposed to just be mock bomb drills, but they had a couple locked and loaded just in case something got nutty. They were ready to go.
So how did this bomb get dropped? They didn't intend to drop it at all, right?
Well,
they weren't like, let's do a mock bomb drill on a town.
Yeah, who cares about South Carolina? What are they going to say? So this is apparently what happened. So Air Force Captain Bruce Kulka, who was the navigator and bombardier, was summoned to the Bombay area after the captain of the aircraft, Captain Earl Kohler, had encountered a fault light in the cockpit indicating that the bomb harness locking pin did not engage. This should make everybody rest easy at night. This is how the malfunction happened, Lee, according to Wikipedia. As Kulka reached around the bomb to pull himself up, he mistakenly grabbed the emergency release pin, and the Mark 6 nuclear bomb dropped to the bomb bay doors of the B-47, and the weight forced the doors open, sending the bomb 15,000 feet down to the ground below.
So you're telling me there's so many levels of this that are insane, that in order to fix this problem, it has a dude just like hanging off the side of the bomb, pulling at pins, and then all he has to do is accidentally pull a pin out. The bomb drops. There shouldn't be some sort of extra precaution there. And then it hits the bomb doors, and those aren't like permanently closed no matter the weight on top of them. Like,
it's unreal that there's just like he grabbed the wrong lever. I mean, this is like,
it's like push the red button, not the light mauve button.
It's like we put the drop coffee button right next to the drop bomb, and I just got mixed up because you press the one that gets a nice hot cup of coffee, you drop the other one, you kill people. So I just was like, whoops, boink. Like, how?
Listen, the button that airs out the bathroom, we also labeled that drop bomb, that you dropped a bomb in there. So just beware, there's 2 drop bomb buttons. One of them means you just took a massive shit. The other one means you're dropping a nuclear weapon. Just remember which is which.
I mean, like, what? Adam Sandler character designed the cockpit with these levers that are missing. Like, this is just like,
I love the, like, I'm hanging off this bomb trying to fix it. I'll just pull myself up by this linchpin that's here.
this ejector lever. I'm just going to grab that up there and pull that up. Like, unbelievable. We've said this before with all the nuclear disasters and lost weapons. It's always some like bumbling, like corporal or second lieutenant or something who's just like, whoops, what lever's this? Like,
it's all Gomer Pyle. It's a lot of
all of them.
It's a pile of Gomer Piles, is what it is. Running this nuclear program in this country. We have discussed so many nuclear accidents that when you sent that you were doing this one, I was like, oh, we already did the nuclear drop in North Carolina. Because we covered in the Carolinas. Because we covered, I think it was in North Carolina, where the jet crashed in a small town in North Carolina, and both nuclear bombs were, like broke apart and fell out of it. And one of them has never been recovered. It's like the core is buried deep in a farm somewhere.
Yeah, or went below in a lake or something. Yeah, that one. There's that, and that was part of the America has 7 nukes that have never been found or something like that. I remember that story that we did.
Yeah. So it turned out I was like, oh no, we haven't done this. We did the other nuclear accident in the Carolinas.
Yeah, we got to do both Carolina nuke disasters. we can't just do the one. It wouldn't be fair to just do North Carolina.
It's not fair.
I don't want the people in South Carolina to feel like neglected. You know what I mean? Like,
or to think they're better. Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's a rivalry between North and South Carolina, and I don't want to be like, hey man, you guys are Tar Heel fans or whatever. What about us Gamecocks? Oh, you guys had a bomb dropped on you too. So that was a pile of Gomer Piles. The 2 sisters, 6-year-old Helen and 9-year-old Frances Gregg, along with their 9-year-old cousin Ella, were playing 200 yards from a playhouse in the woods that had been built for them by their father, Walter, who had served as a paratrooper during World War II. The playhouse was struck by the bomb.
Stop.
Yes.
So the 2 kids died?
I believe all 3 girls were injured by the explosion, and as was Walter, his wife and son, and nearby buildings were damaged.
Jesus.
The playhouse. I remember my neighbors had a playhouse, and we'd play on it. Just imagine if it got blown up by a nuke.
I know what I would have thought, since I would steal fireworks from the neighbor's garage or something and hide them somewhere when I was a kid. I would have assumed that one of the fireworks I stole blew up with the force of a U.S. military bomb. I'd be like, shit, I did that.
What did you do? Did you tie 2 M80s together?
Yeah, exactly.
So here's what happened, Lee. The playhouse was struck by the bomb. Its conventional high explosives detonated, destroying the playhouse and leaving a crater about 70 feet wide and 35 feet deep.
Jesus.
Now that's, again, without the fissile nuclear core. The fissile nuclear core was fortunately stored elsewhere on the aircraft. Thank God, the pile of Gomer Piles didn't go, hey man, we're going to try to put this fissile on top of the thing just to make room for the.
Listen, man, I got a fizzle for shizzle. We got to do this. It's a little ironic that the mock bomb hit a playhouse.
Yeah. So in 1958, American children weren't safe from the United States Air Force.
Oh, American children have never been safe from our military.
No, never. And this family sued, and they received $54,000.
54 coupons to the Dairy Queen.
Yeah. Yep. And it's the equivalent of $500,000 today. So that's Operation Snow Flurry, bombing American children in South Carolina.
That's Operation. Oh, fuck. Did I just pull the. Oh, shit.
Whoops. And I love Wikipedia. And again, if the nuclear warhead was armed with the fizzle thing or whatever, then South Carolina would have been gone and it would still be radioactive to this day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just think about that. Not this 70-foot
Graham,
wide.
you're focusing too much on the what ifs.
Glass half full, buddy. Glass half full. The fizzle shizzle was not in the mizzle, so we were all good.
It was not in the mizzle. Oh, Jesus.
So now here's Government Secret segment number 2 on the beauty and joy of the credit score system.
So I always like to focus on these stories that show what a clusterfuck corporate America is that we live in. And there's so much history of how these things originated. I remember one time I did the history on the show. I did the history of tipping that came from slavery and basically post-slavery, where Black people were paid nothing for their jobs. So the only way they made any money was to get a few cents handed to them. And that's why we have tipping in America. Anyway, so this feels like it's, has some similarities in that this has been fucked up for hundreds of years, but we just keep doing it, So credit reporting, this is coming from time.com. Credit reporting in its modern sense is fewer than 200 years old. People believe the credit score is simply a way to help people achieve their dreams, get a house or a car or a pool. But credit scores also integrate millions into surveillance networks rivaling the NSA's. And they have saddled the majority of Americans with a lifelong financial identity, an unerasable mark that reflects bad behavior in the past. And by the way, both this article and another article I read focused on how you can never escape your past bad behavior. But I'm kind of, yelling at the screen, in many cases, it's because people were fucked. Right. It's not always bad behavior. It's often just life circumstances, or you got lied to into a deal. Anyway.
Yeah, or you lost your job. You got laid off because capitalism doesn't give a shit about you, and then you had to pay your bills on credit cards at 25% interest, and then you had to finally default on those because you couldn't afford it, and then you're a bad person.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's most bad credit scores. Probably a large percentage of them are not just people being naughty. Beginning in the 1820s, however, credit reporting began to modernize. The result was a series, and I don't even know what people were buying in the 1820s. Wasn't it just gingham and a pack of caramels? What the fuck do you buy in the 1820s?
Gingham, taffy, and a shoe polish. That's what they were buying.
And leeches to treat your gangrene.
I don't even know what gingham is, but I'm
fabric.
Oh. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Anyway. I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I hope you're wrong. This would be so great if we just don't even know what we're saying. Gingham. Guys, use coupon code Government Secrets to get 20% off all gingham at gingham.net.
Why has no one made the parody gingham style? So anyway, the result of credit scoring modernized was a series of experiments in standardizing credit evaluation. The most important of these experiments was the Mercantile Agency, founded in 1841 by Lewis Tappan. Tappan set out to systematize the rumors regarding debtors' characters and assets. So basically, that's what it was before it became standardized. It was basically someone would call someone else at a nearby store or town they used to be in and be like, "Hey, did Jebediah pay his debts when he was in town?" "Oh, he did." "Okay, good." That was a credit score.
Watch out for that. Watch out for that Josephus. He's a shifty one. He won't pay his gingham tab.
He's way behind on his taffy tab.
It's Taffy Tap. He's going to have to go in rears for all that shoe polish he's been purchasing.
By the way, thank you, Chen, for the donation there.
Thank you, Chen.
So, all right. So they did these experiments. The most famous was from the Mercantile Agency, soliciting information from correspondents throughout the country. Tappan's agency distilled these reports into massive ledgers in New York City. I'm picturing like ledgers the size of like a small townhouse. Just like
Right.
so some guy with a monocle and a beard down to his knees. He's like, "Who do you want to learn about?" And he goes into the back room and he starts flipping through pages.
Some
Page,
giant book too. That's just
page.
like, you know.
Yeah. Cletus who? Smith. All right. I'll just look up the Smiths.
Is this of the Omaha Cletus Smith or?
These early reports were incredibly subjective, as you might imagine, colored by the opinions of their, I know this is going to shock you, Graham, predominantly white male credit reporters.
Oh, weird that they got to control that.
Yeah, I know. They finally let the white males have something. Isn't that nice?
Amen. That they had to fight tooth and nail to get something like controlling people's lives.
The white males were given one job to do. They were actually let out of the house
to do this one noble job of holding somebody's 10-cent debt over their head for the rest of their life.
Yeah, with interest, that's $100,000.
Yes.
Thank you, OTR Trucker, for the donation.
Thank you.
Credit reporter noted that, quote, so these are the subjective reports on credit. One credit reporter noted that, quote, prudence in large transactions with all Jews should be used. This is the official credit report.
Wow. Jesus. Oh, yeah.
And a reporter in post-Civil War Georgia described A.G. Mark's liquor store as, quote, a low Negro store. Now, I don't know if that means it's low on Negroes or it's like a down and low Negro store.
Wow.
I'm not sure, but either way, I'm going to go not good. Not fair.
I'm going to say that's a not favorable thing to it. I'm going to say maybe that's another in the centuries old of systemic racism of just back in the old day, the old thing said, oh, we're not giving them a loan because it's a low Negro store.
Yeah. Yeah. The subjectivity of these reports had two important consequences. Oh, there are consequences?
No, what could possibly be the consequence of the thing? We don't trust Jews and blacks with money. What could possibly be the downside of those two things?
I don't think that's ever harmed anyone.
No. Name one thing that's bad from that. Name one.
Yeah. First, it reinforced existing social hierarchies, serving as an early form of redlining. Second, the jumble of rumors contained in early reports proved difficult to translate into actionable lessons. The result was a new thing under the sun, a pseudo-scientific sleight of hand that converted the information, or often misinformation, in borrowers' reports into actionable financial quote-unquote facts. Pioneered by Bradstreet in 1857, commercial credit rating would assume a more lasting form in 1864 when the Mercantile Agency, renamed R.G. Dunn and Company, finalized an alphanumeric system that would remain in use until the 20th century. Also, I love the idea of giving like an alphanumeric system to these dumb comments. Like, all right, we're gonna give it a 3 out of 10 if it's a low Negro shop. Right. We're gonna give it a 7 out of 10 if it has Jews there.
And the other thing too, like, gee, I wonder if any of these white dudes had any credit trouble. That probably just got swept under the rug or paid off, or they.
Yeah. If you were a white dude and he called up the shop, hey, did Jebediah pay his? You know what? He didn't pay per se, but you could tell he was an upright citizen. He was doing his best. Definitely not Jewish, which I am pretty excited about.
That was already a plus that he wasn't that. So we're
Yeah.
all good, even though he owes us a bunch of money.
Also, and I put this in the major plus category, has a penis. So
Oh, there we
yeah,
go.
yeah,
That always works.
male.
That's a good line of credit.
Good line of credit. So its arrival of this new alphanumeric system meant that commercial borrowers now possessed a financial identity, an identifier that not only purported to summarize one's financial history, but which threatened to plummet should one suffer a lapse in fortune or discipline. But again, that could have been circumstantial. It's it doesn't mean you're a bad person if you end up fucked.
Oh God. It's so funny because it's just like we've talked about this several times on the show in various different segments, but it just speaks to the greater issue of any way that they can keep us, in indentured servitude as workers. So you got to just keep working to make the billionaires rich. And we're also going to stick this credit system around your neck to hold you down, to keep you working, to pay off this whatever jumbled flim-flam alphanumeric system that they created in some weird book that they, wrote with the quill pen. It's all just
Also, what never gets mentioned in these articles, the two I read on it, I don't want to act like I did that much research. Let's be honest. But what never gets mentioned is that you could have paid off every debt you ever had, especially in modern credit scores. Everything, you could have paid it off immediately, never had a debt for more than 12 seconds. You could have paid off everything, but you just haven't bought enough. You haven't gotten a car, you haven't bought a house, you haven't. So therefore, your credit score is still almost non-existent.
Yeah. And that's part of this. The current system too is like, oh, I pay my bills off every month. Ooh, we need you to roll some of that credit over. That'll increase your credit score. So I have to pay interest on crap that I have the money to pay for.
Yeah.
That helps me if I give you 25% interest on, going out to eat or whatever. Like it's preposterous, man.
Right. It's the same with your credit limit on a credit card. It's like if you could pay off everything. Like I have always just paid every credit card rather than, because I hate paying interest because they can go fuck themselves. And I don't have a very high credit limit because they're like, you don't pay us.
Yeah, we don't make any money off you. So why would we don't?
Yeah, you do pay us. We don't make money off you yet.
Yeah.
Thus, by the end of the Civil War, 3 pillars of modern credit reporting were in place: private sector mass surveillance that made credit reports possible, bureaucratic information sharing that made them widely available, and a rating system that made them actionable. So this is about mass surveillance and sharing of data among businesses. Forming a national association in 1912, credit managers used their professional organization to perfect practices for collecting, sharing, codifying information on retail debtors. Founded in 1899, the Retail Credit Company developed files on millions of Americans over the next 60 years. This information included not just data on credit, capital, and character, but information on individuals' social, political, and here we go, sexual lives.
Oh, this guy likes getting drilled in the ass with a strap on, so we're going to give him a low credit score.
Yeah, I mean,
or just try to sell him some strap-ons.
we will let him run up a big debt on strap-ons. Yeah, or just like, this guy gets a low rating because he's gay, or
it's the horrific Venn diagram of like evil capitalism and then just religious zealotry judging you for your whatever you want to do in your private life with another consenting adult. That's like, they're just, let's put those together. Let's merge those so we can just like force you into debt and then judge your moral character and not give you money or loans because you do something that we don't think is right because we're Christian nutbags.
Right. Absolutely. Almost inevitably, argued privacy advocate Alan Weston in the New York Times in 1968, transferring information from a manual file onto a computer triggers... Oh, Sorry, I missed it. I missed a sentence where it says RCC received a fever pitch of criticism when they said they were going to computerize their records. So he's saying switching information from a manual file to from that giant book with the guy with the monocle to a computer triggers a threat to civil liberties, to privacy, to a man's very humanity, because access is so simple. Say goodbye to second chances, Weston claimed. Digitized files would make it impossible to outrun one's past. But again, it's not just one's past. It could be bullshit. It could be you refuse to pay, like a hospital that didn't treat you right and overcharged you for some, test or something. And so you refuse to pay on principle. And now you have a shitty credit that you can't, quote unquote, outrun.
Right. Right. I mean, it's so I went through bankruptcy and foreclosure back in 2009 and 2010, right? And I think
because you're a bad person, right?
Because I'm a dirty bad person. I'm a dirty bad
creep, person.
Yeah. Dirty, filthy creep. And I hang out with Jews and Negroes, so that's even worse. Who like deviant sex. So it's I've just got 3 or 4 strikes against me. And by law, I think it's foreclosure stays on your record for 10 years.
Is that all? Wow.
And then bankruptcy is 7. They both used to be 7, but I think Bush pushed bankruptcy up to 10, or foreclosure up to 10. And so I remember when the bankruptcy finally got off my credit score, off my record, my credit score went up a little bit. And when the foreclosure went off, it went up more. But I was applying for one of those like airline credit cards last summer where you get like 100,000 points. And I was like, wow, if I just run my expenses through this, and pay it all off, I could get a bunch of points really quickly. And I knew I was going to be, touring, and this would be awesome. And you get bonus points if you buy airplane tickets. And I was doing that whole tour in October, and they denied me. And I was like, I got a really good credit score now. How can you? And they said, oh, well, you have a past something thing. I said, well, legally, you guys can't use the foreclosure or the bankruptcy. And they gave me the person on the phone was just some sort of call center worker. But I was like, wow. And it was the same bank on one of the credit cards. It was JP Morgan Chase was doing I think the United credit card. And I had to default on a Chase credit card when I went through bankruptcy. And I was like,
so they were using internal records or something.
Yes. They kept an internal record to flag me, even though now my credit score is something like 740 or something like that, but they just flagged me for that. And I was like, wow. And I said to the person on the phone, I said, what you're doing is illegal, right? And she goes, well, sir, I'm whatever, she just quoted policy. But I was like, wow. So they just keep an internal.
Probably at a call center in India.
Yeah, she had no idea, whatever. She's
like, technically, I don't even know anything about your country.
Yeah, I have no idea. And if I say anything wrong, then I have to pay for this, the right to sit in this chair and feed you bullshit or whatever, like they're already paying her nothing. So they're threatening her.
My kids won't eat if I actually give you this credit card because I'll get fired.
So I have to deny you. I get paid to deny you. But I was like, wow. And who's regulating that? Who's monitoring that? What recourse do I have as an American citizen?
And you actually could sue them, but the amount of effort and cost and time that would be required.
Yeah, and it would have to be class action because I don't have the money. I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure Liz Warren will fight for me. She seems like she's honest.
She seems legit.
Yeah,
listen, she's been fighting for her Native American heritage for years.
Yeah, the thing she lied about to get into Harvard, so an actual Native American couldn't go there and take her slot. So that's cool. Yeah, she's great.
If you really want to learn about Elizabeth Warren, look up, I believe it was called the Pow Wow Chow Cookbook.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That she wrote a recipe for. The Pow Wow Chow Cookbook because she's Native American.
I have her... I used to show it all the time. I had a copy of her, like admission slip to Harvard Law or something like that, where she identified as American Indian. Like I had a copy of it. It was just
and there's a photo of her in like a headdress and like,
like I'm a Cherokee princess. Okay, get out, leave. Yeah. Why don't you? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So credit rating luckily does not monitor your Native American background, but
Just only if you're friends with Jews and Negroes. That's the only thing that it still monitors to this day.
Congress passed the Fair Credit Reporting Act in 1970. I think this must have been when Congress was only like, 85% bought out. So they did something to protect average people a little bit. So the landmark legislation required bureaus to open their files to the public, expunge data on race, sexuality, and disability, and delete negative information after a specified period of time. But as you have just proven to us, Graham, just because they say they're expunging old data doesn't mean they actually do it.
Yeah. So they can't deny me on credit score, but they just keep some internal thing and say,
Right. They say, it's just a feeling, gut feeling we have that we don't
a
like
weird
you.
vibe on this guy. This guy
Yeah.
just feels like a foreclosing. I just get kind of a foreclosing vibe off of this guy.
We never loan to Superman curls. We never do that.
Vegan surfers, there's just something I don't
Yeah.
trust that they can make their mortgage payments on time or anything.
However, far from halting credit reporting, the bill that went through, helped usher in a golden age of credit reporting. RCC, for instance, came away from congressional hearings with a black eye, but did not disappear. Instead, they just changed their name like a good, drug lord. They just changed their name to, ready? Equifax.
Oh, yes. I knew one of the big three was going to have ties to this evil thing from a million years ago. I just knew it.
Yep. In 1975 and continued on its course of computerization. There was expanding demand of their services, so the big three credit rating agencies began working with tech companies to create a credit scoring algorithm, which is known today as the FICO score. The result, which hit the market in 1989. So when people say credit scores are not that old, really what they're referring to is the version that we use today from 1989. When it hit in 1989, it's remarkable, similar to the one still used now. Even today, worries remain. As in the past, credit reporting can function as a way of maintaining social hierarchies, you think. Especially among poorer Americans, low credit scores often translate into larger down payments and higher interest rates on purchases, terms that place an undue strain on household budgets and that often result in high rates of bankruptcy and default, which in turn lower credit scores even more. So the lower class is treated harsher, and it cements them in the lower class. It cements the hierarchies.
Yeah, and this is part of this whole cyclical cementing them into poverty of like, so they've got these high interest rates, have to make a higher down payment, then they need money, so then they get these these awful like payday loans that take money out of and they're just stuck.
It's like 30% interest.
Yeah, 30%, and they're just like awful. Or they can't get traditional banking, so then they have to cash their check and pay these higher fees or whatever the thing is. They got to live in a cash economy, which is really difficult today in this digital currency world that we live in. And so it's just all part of that whole system, man. And then if you got bad credit score, guess what? You can't get a smartphone. So then now you don't have access to apps and the internet. You can't get Wi-Fi. Right. So then there's this whole digital divide that is then created between there's a class structure in digital access to the internet.
And once they're implanting those chips in your head that make you have all the information on the internet instantly available in your brain, and the poor people won't be able to afford those. And so
I know
the rich people will be super smart.
Yeah. Oh, that's why they're all building rockets to fly off a planet that they know is imploding.
Credit reports are used to inform decisions about housing, employment, insurance, and cost of utilities. But errors on credit reports are common, and many of the consumer protections in FCRA are being circumvented by opaque in-house rating systems under development. And this also speaks to the fact that they've created an algorithm and a numeric score. So, for example, Graham, you may not know that they're still considering your
Right.
past, even though it's supposedly expunged, because all you see is a number on a sheet of paper. You don't know where they got it from. They're not going to reveal it to you. So they can consider past problems, even if they were false, in your score without revealing it to you.
Of course. And so all I get sent is just the number. Here's your credit score and here's the stuff listed on it. But then I get this piece of paper that says past delinquencies. And it's like, there's no past delinquencies on my credit score. They're all gone.
Yeah.
I didn't have credit for 7 years. So how could I have a delinquency? Like, where is the delinquency?
Right.
I haven't been late on a payment to anything in over 10 years. So where is this coming from? So they have some internal code.
Because they're still calling up the guy that works at the store near you, and they're like, what's up with this Graham fella?
Well, he comes in, he bought himself some gingham, and he didn't pay me the whole amount, and then he wrapped his surfboard in it and went on some sort of vegan holiday. I don't know what he's doing.
Said he has to keep his surfy board warm.
That don't make a lick of sense to me. And then he meditated and talked about a Superman curl. I don't know what the hell. He's probably on some sort of hippie drug.
Like vitamin D.
And vegetarians, they just walk weird, man. He's probably going to go up with them Burning Man folks and start some kind of cult or whatever. Anyway, I'm going to church and let the Jesus tell me what to think.
Fucking doing booty bumps of beta carotene. I know he's snorting that shit.
Probably all hopped up on flaxseed and whatever else, man.
So to answer who will repay their debts and to compel quote unquote good behavior, credit bureaus have developed surveillance and information sharing techniques rivaling anything in the arsenal of the state. These have brought benefits for some, but they have also inscribed Americans' financial histories in the indelible digital ledgers of modern capitalism for the mighty to see and the majority to glimpse or really not see at all. And then I just want to read a little bit from this. It's a Guardian article about how credit scores in America perpetuate racial injustice.
Yep.
Credit scoring in the U.S. has profound impact on our daily lives and is a source and perpetuator of systemic racial injustice. In response to aggressive marketing by the big three, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, employers, landlords, and insurance companies now use credit reports and scores to make decisions, blah, blah, blah. These days, your credit history can make or break whether you get a job or an apartment or access to decent, affordable insurance and loans. Credit reports and scores are not race neutral. Rather, they embed existing racial inequities in our credit system and economy to the point that a person's credit information serves as a proxy for race. For decades, banks have systemically redlined Black and Latino neighborhoods, refusing to make conventional loans or locate branches in non-white and lower-income areas, notwithstanding laws that obligate banks to meet the credit needs of all communities they serve, consistent with safe and sound banking operations. People in communities of color have been disproportionately targeted. Now, this is how it affects credit score. Disproportionately targeted for high-cost predatory loans, intrinsically risky financial products that predictably lead to higher delinquency. And we saw this with the housing collapse in 2008, that the majority of people losing their homes and that were truly fucked in that situation were people of color because they had been disproportionately targeted for those types of loans. Black people and Latinos are more likely than whites to have damaged credit. This firmly entrenched two-tiered financial system has been devastating for entire neighborhoods of color. In our culture, indebtedness and certainly failure to pay one's debts is deeply entwined with concepts of morality. The insidious notion that our credit history speaks to our reliability as human beings is largely taken for granted. So, even credit scores are highly racist.
Of course. Of course. It all feeds the same broken, corrupt system.
Yeah. Yeah, entrenches it. Yeah.
Entrenches it. And that's why it's when we talk about like intergenerational wealth, we talk about intergenerational poverty. And this is how poverty goes through generations, because it's so hard to break out of it, because these systems are in place to keep people so screwed and poor. They can't save money. They can't get out. They can't get a home. I mean, home ownership, it's almost impossible now because the homes are so expensive, especially in California. But home ownership was the way for Americans. That was the American dream, right? You could buy a little home. It appreciates in value, maybe sell it, get a bigger home. You leave that home to your kids, or, you know what I mean? And then that's how wealth stays from generation to generation. So conversely, if you deny people's ability to own a home because they're constantly trapped in wealth or bad credit scores or all this other predatory shit we're talking about, then each generation cannot afford to buy a home. So each generation doesn't have any wealth and stays poor generation to generation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think another great equalizer for the lower classes now is healthcare. It's like, at some point, someone in your family, someone in your maybe extended family, but probably even close family, is going to have a health emergency that it goes way beyond the insurance can cover. And so it just sucks all of the wealth away from you and your family, because everyone is like, well, I'll give whatever I can to save his life or her life. And so it's like, oh, you were saving up something. Yeah, that's all gone.
That's gone. Bye. You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. There goes your nest egg.
But yeah, it's so, I'm just hoping that these credit scores, I'm hoping Equifax doesn't find out that I hang out at a high Jew frequented area.
Why couldn't the Air Force accidentally drop a bomb on Equifax? You know what I'm saying? Why couldn't that happen?
Instead, it's a children's playhouse.
It's a children's playhouse. Like, what the fuck? Why can't you guys accidentally bomb? Whoops, zoink, I grabbed the wrong lever, and then boom, TransUnion and Equifax, and just, like, why couldn't that happen? Oh, man.
I'm with you.
It's like I was reading some review on the movie, which is 20 years ago now. Fight Club came out, and they were like, whether you like the movie or not, the person was like, oh, this movie is calling out toxic masculinity. And I was like, really? It seems like this movie's calling out capitalism, because the spoiler alert, the end of the movie, they blow up the credit reporting agencies.
Yeah.
And like,
it's funny that I hadn't realized how that movie can be like all things to a lot of people. Like when I saw, and I love Fight Club. When I saw it, I was like, wow, a real anti-capitalist movie.
Right.
I was like, this is great. But apparently like libertarians are like, see, this shows how, they should just let us beat people up and kill people. Really, this shows that we've been pussified.
It's like the whole point of the movie, man. He gives up everything he owns. There's that scene where he talks about his house gets blown up, and he goes, sometimes the things you own you, and he was all like, God, that was going to be my couch, my IKEA couch. And it's just like, they go out and they fight, and it's not even about winning. Wow. Anyway. But yeah, somebody go blow up TransUnion. Anyway, why I didn't say that. I'm joking. Come on, NSA.
I meant like blow them up, like talk about them a lot.
Hey, what's up? Yeah. TransUnion is my posse or whatever. Like, that's what I mean. Well, that sounds like the end of government secrets. Segment number 2, credit scores make America better. Lee Camp, what do you got going on, buddy?
I'm thinking of heading over to patreon.com/government secrets to do a little extra segment. Other than that, I just did a segment. I just did a live stream on my entire trip to China, what I saw, what I didn't see, what I learned, what it was like to be tortured in the Chinese prisons. And that's all it's at leecamp.net, but it's also at rumble.com/leecamp.
Yes, folks. And you can check out my special Manifest It and get all my tour dates and everything at grahamelwood.com. My new specials, you can get it at grahamelwood.com. And my tour dates.
Please tell me in the name you highlighted the word man, because there's a lot of like anti-trans humor. like man is underlined. Just like that should be the next Chappelle.
Yeah, I don't care about the pronouns or anything. I'd really just take out the war machine and the two-party system in this special and rich people. That's what I go after in this special. But so no, I don't do that.
That's why you won't get a Netflix special.
That's absolutely why I won't get a Netflix special. You're 100% correct.
You didn't do enough of anti-trans humor.
Yeah, I didn't get all mad about pronouns. Like I don't give a shit. You got a pronoun that's going to end the war machine. I'm down with that one. Whatever you have a pronoun that stops climate collapse. I'll call you by that one. Whatever it is, don't care.
Thanks for the donation, Chuck. By the way,
thank you, Chuck. Also, we're going to be doing Anything Can Happen, the online game show. Lee's been on it. Eleanor's been on it. It is going to be in front of a live audience, and you can also buy a live streaming ticket so you can watch it online. And that is April 22nd at 7:30 Pacific. But you can watch this anywhere you are in the world. So again, go to grahamelwood.com. And then I'm in Maui, April 27th, Kona on the Big Island, April 28th, Honolulu, April 29th, and then Arizona. I'm in Phoenix, May 11th, and Tucson, May 12th. Come out to a live show. And so go to grahamelwood.com for tickets, and hopefully Lee and I will be doing live government secrets later in the year. So we're looking at that.
That'd be fun. By the way, Graham, I just got a text from our Mystery Sometimes producer who says that gingham is the fabric of that Dorothy's dress is made out of in Wizard of Oz. So true.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense now.
Doesn't it all add up now?
She was all part of the gingham lobby, the gingham conspiracy.
Gingham style.
All right, folks, go to patreon.com/government secrets. We will be there in about 2 minutes to do bonus segments. You can join and support our show for as little as $5. Go there right now. This has been
Government Secrets, episode 118 with Lee Camp and Graham Elwood.
Later.
All right, buddy. See you there. Thanks, everybody. We will see you over there soon. Thank you for everybody watching on the Rockfin and everybody watching on Lee's channel. If you're watching on Lee's channel, please follow and subscribe on my YouTube channel. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, please go over and subscribe to Lee's YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody. We will see you over at Patreon in about 2 minutes, and go get the tour dates, guys. April 22nd, watch the game show live. There's going to be a live audience. We're going to have a musician. It's going to really look slicker, like a real game show thing. So check it out. We're building that show, so please support that. grahamelwood.com. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you over at Patreon. Sell hog, everybody. Pew, pew.